Today I decided to do the Draw My Life tag, mostly because so many of you wanted me to do it, and I'm afraid if I don't do what you want me to, that you'll find out where I live and be like, I'm going to hurt you, but then when you get here, you'll be like, I'm chicken, I'm not going to do it. And here's Whoopi Goldberg wishing me luck on this endeavor. I was born on September 27th, 1985. I was birthed from my mother, who had giant, puffy 80s style hair. This is her on a hospital bed, not a pinball machine. There's me. I wasn't that big. I was like 8 pounds, 7 ounces when I was born. So my mom having just some post-birth thoughts. The night I was born was really interesting. All of the nurses came up to my mom and were like, did you name her Gloria? Because there was a giant hurricane happening named Hurricane Gloria that night, and all the news reporters wanted to know if anyone named their kid Gloria. My mom was like, no, and then they walked away. My family was my mom with giant 80s hair, my older brother John, who was 4 years older than me, and my younger brother Tim, and my dad. When I was about 4 years old, my parents got a divorce, and it didn't actually affect me and my brothers too much. We tend to see the glass half full. So full that there's 2 glasses. A few years later, my parents got remarried to awesome people. My mom married a guy named Bill, and my dad married a woman named Maureen, whose name I have trouble spelling sometimes, and I totally support these second marriages. If it doesn't work the first time, second time is charming. In 4th grade, me and my stepdad, my mom, and my brothers moved to a new town, which meant a new school. We moved from Woodbury to Woodbury Heights, which made it sound like we were rich now, when really we just got a house with an extra half bathroom. I was really happy with the move. I was starting to make new friends and having a great time until one day I realized I had a tail. And I got really sad. And all the girls I was friends with got really grossed out. I couldn't believe it. Then I got into high school, and I didn't have a lot of friends until I met this girl, Rachel, who was hilarious, and we would do all kinds of comedy sketches and SNL spoofs as school projects. One time we made a bet with our friend, and she lost, and we made her dress up like a tampon for Halloween. I made the costume. It was great. Overall, I was so happy until one day my tail grew a tiny middle finger, and I was so sad. And all the boys in my school looked at me, and they were just like, ew. But eventually, through a lot of emotional repression, I made it through, and I got into college on a full academic scholarship. My school was dumb, but I was thrilled because I was going to school in North Jersey, which was one step closer to New York, where I really wanted to be. But my tail and its tiny middle finger were coming too. When I got into college, I wasn't totally sure what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do something creative. So I took acting classes, I took screenwriting classes, and I was having a great time being creative. I eventually started to binge on internships. I did about 4 different internships at MTV and 1 at Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Actually 5 at MTV. I was able to do this because I forged my advisor's signature on my permission slip. Take that, the man that cares about that. In addition to internships, I was teaching tennis all throughout North Jersey and working as a server at an Applebee's. I'm what you call a workaholic. It's a disease. I was having a great time being productive in college, but my tail wasn't. Somehow she got tits and showed them to everyone and drank way too much and was hanging out with the wrong guys. And it just made me really sad again. But thanks to emotional repression, I made it through to graduation. I was so excited. I had so many plans. My tail made it too. And so did my good friend Michelle. She doesn't wear a top hat. I just get drawing dyslexic sometimes. Together we decided that we were going to move to the big city. Not necessarily the big city, but Brooklyn. It's not all guns, though. It's mostly just lesbians that are adorable. At least where we moved. We moved to an area called Carroll Gardens, which is kind of an affluent neighborhood, except we lived in a really shitty apartment. Didn't have a sink in the bathroom. We brushed our teeth in the kitchen. We also had a drug lord landlord named Tony who would ask us for money all the time. It was great. And things got even better when I found out about the People's Improv Theater, aka The Pit. I took a bunch of improv classes and made it onto a house team. I was making people laugh once a week on stage. It was amazing. Thanks to my internships, I got a job at MTV after I graduated, but I quit to wait tables so I'd have more time to focus on, that's right, a career in comedy. I was so happy and things were looking up until my tail turned everything around. She wouldn't pay rent and she was going crazy and she would yell at me all the time for no reason, and it made me really sad again. To To take my mind off of feeling sad, I had saved up all my waiting table money and bought myself an iMac and started to make little web videos about what it was like living in Brooklyn. And my roommate Michelle would come and make them too. And we started a YouTube channel called Grace and Michelle, all about our silly, goofy lives in Brooklyn. Then one day a company called My Damn Channel called me and they were like, "Hey, we like your videos. Will you make those videos for us?" I couldn't believe it. Of course I said yes. And before I knew it, I was making a daily video 5 days a week from my apartment in Brooklyn. It was a dream come true. I was so happy. But things with my tail weren't happy. She was spiraling out of control, and I think she was doing drugs with our landlord Tony, but it was impossible to know for sure. It was just horrible. And it made me really sad again. Until one day I was riding the subway and I saw an ad for something that would change my life. It was an ad for Dr. Zismore, a plastic surgeon. I called him that afternoon, and an hour later, at an abandoned warehouse in Queens, he cut my tail right off. And I was finally free. I felt so much lighter physically. Before I knew it, I found myself chasing more of my dreams in Los Angeles, with a dog no less. But my dog has a tail. And that makes me sad, because it reminds me of my tail. And every time I look at my dog's tail, I don't know what to do. I can't stop thinking about her. What is she doing now? Is she drinking? Is she hanging out with Frankie Muniz? It was always a dream of hers. I just don't know. But I do know that this is the part of the video that I tell you that I love you. Yeah. Bye! But I'm still sad, remember. So this is now the end of the video. You guys know this ends late and all this jazz. But just don't forget, if there's one takeaway from this video, it's that I'm really sad. And I'm depressed and I'm sad. And I'll never be fully happy.